Picture this. It's the early 1980s and the motorcycle scene is going crazy. Just a few years ago, Kawasaki released the first ever production turbocharged motorcycle. Honda following not far behind with the CX500 Turbo, the world's first fuel-injected turbocharged motorcycle.
5 years ago, a team of Honda engineers set out to create the world's most advanced motorcycle. The result of their efforts is the Honda CX500 Turbo.
We're leaving out a pretty big competitor, and that's Yamaha. Now, of course, Suzuki would eventually make their own turbocharged bike, but Yamaha was not here to play. See, in 1982, Yamaha released what they called the XJ650 Turbo.
This is the Porsche 930 Turbo, one of the world's fastest accelerating automobiles. And this is Yamaha's new Seca Turbo. Exactly how quick is the Yamaha Turbo? Ask the guy in the Porsche.
An inline 4 653cc air-cooled carbureted turbocharged motorcycle. Now, they made about 4,000 of these units in 1982, and it wasn't exactly the best success. That being said, they went on in 1983 to make 1,500 more for their final production run. Just 2 years they made these bikes. After this, the turbocharged motorcycle fad died down, and these bikes were left to the owners who didn't really want to ride them. Over the years, people stopped maintaining them. They were expensive, hard to find parts for, and they weren't really all that much faster than just a few years newer, a regular 600cc sport bike. But that leaves me. I like making financial mistakes. My name is Nick. You're watching Olsen Auto, and behind me is a 1983 Yamaha XJ650 Turbo. Now, I purchased this motorcycle about 6 months ago, and I have been tinkering away at it ever since. I wanted to make sure it was in somewhat decent shape before I brought it to the channel, and I think we're finally at that point, but don't get it twisted. She has some problems. I purchased this motorcycle for $1,500. It was about a 2-hour drive away, and I actually got to hear it run when I went to buy it, which was a huge selling point because I knew it wasn't totally doomed to fail. The bike behind me with clean paperwork has just 10,000 miles on it, and it actually sounds pretty good. Now, that being said, as far as what I've already done to it, this motorcycle has already received a new old stock gas tank, brand new in the box from 1983, a full new set of carburetors, a new fuel pump. It has basically gotten a full fuel system overhaul. Again, this is a turbocharged motorcycle, so we're still gonna have some problems, and that's exactly what we're gonna work on today. So my goal is to make this thing like reliably running. As it sits, it desperately needs tires. These might actually be original to 1983. They're super flat spotted, they're dry rotted to all hell, not in good shape. We're gonna clean this thing up. We're not gonna put tires on it yet, but we're gonna pull it apart, possibly rebuild the turbo, and see what we can do to fix this thing. Now, I am gonna be doing a giveaway in this video as well, so make sure you stay tuned to see how you can enter. Gonna be giving away some free shop supplies, so make sure you stay tuned. But with that out of the way, I've given you some of the history. Right now it does run, but it actually ended up dumping all of its oil on the ground. To give you some backstory to that, I went to start the bike to show someone how well it ran and how well it started, and all of a sudden it dumped all of its oil out of the exhaust, and that's obviously not great, and then it started dumping oil out of the turbo, which is super not great, and I haven't touched it since, so we're gonna see if this is a simple fix or not. I've been asking away on all the forums, and it may be, it may not be. I can't really guarantee it. It's time to get cracking disassembling the turbo bike. Now, since it was dumping oil out of the exhaust and out of the turbo, I figure a logical place to start is to disconnect the exhaust. So we're gonna start by unbolting it from where the header meets the manifold, and the manifold then goes into the turbo. I wanna do everything I can to not have to remove the turbo, so this is a good place to start. Okay, so taking off that cylinder, that's where the oil was. I guess we'll take the rest of them off and see if there's any more oil in it. That's a lot of oil. Okay. That one was a little bit wet. Oh my God. Good Lord. We'll do a little more research because those two innermost exhausts had a ridiculous amount of oil in them. That was kind of loose. There we go. Oh my goodness. Well, that's gonna need to be degreased. Well, this manifold is off and it is covered in oil. And unless we want to catch this thing on fire, we should probably degrease it, which actually brings us to today's video sponsor, SuperClean. So SuperClean has actually been a sponsor of the channel for quite some time now. Excuse the ladder in the background. Some of the lights have already burned out, so I digress. SuperClean has been a sponsor of the channel for years now. They helped with the Firebird build when he had the 350 shoved in there, and they decided to help with the turbo bike. So they sent us some degreaser that we can use to go ahead and take care of the oily mess that this bike has not only left on the floor, because they do have their floor cleaner, but on the manifold itself, because a hot turbo manifold with fresh oil basically screams, I want to catch on fire. And I would rather not have the bike catch on fire while I'm riding it. So if you have a greasy project, make sure you comment down below. I'm actually giving away a bunch of their degreaser. So go ahead and comment down below. I'm gonna pick a random comment in next week's video. So you have like 5 days to go ahead and comment down below. Just let me know what you're working on and what you'll be using the degreaser for, and I will have the SuperClean team send you out some of their foaming and the aerosol can and some of the spray bottle stuff. I personally like the foaming. I don't know if it's just because the foaming looks cooler. I also use their aerosol cans a ton. So make sure you guys comment down below. Let me know what you're working on. You'll be entered for free for a chance to win some SuperClean degreaser. So let's go ahead, let's clean up that manifold, get some of the oil off, see if we can't figure out where it's coming from. All right, so let's go ahead, let's put this greasy, grimy, gross manifold in the bucket, and we're just gonna go ahead and kind of cover the whole outside of this in degreaser. Now I'm doing it in the bucket just so I don't make a mess on the floor, of course, but I'm gonna try to cover as much of it as I can. And of course, we're gonna scrub it a little bit with a rag, and then we're just gonna rinse it off with some water to neutralize it so we don't leave the degreaser just, you know, kind of sitting on there. All right, well that is looking substantially better, not covered in oil anymore. It's still a little wet from the hose water, but no more oil on it, which is fantastic. I am gonna replace this gasket, which goes on the back here, where it leads into the turbo itself. But let me get under here and let me see if I can't track down where the heck all this oil came from anyway. All right, so I got the relief valve nut loose, just held the line with some vice grips. I imagine most of the bike's oil is probably gonna come out here, which I'm okay with. So there is a copper washer that I will be replacing on that, of course. And we'll pop the actual thing off and we'll see how she looks. That's a funny looking bolt though. So this little guy is the check valve. You can see the spring in there. And you can kind of just see that shiny little ball down in the bottom. Now, I guess unfortunately this looks pretty clean. I'll clean it out as best as I can. And then there's also, if I didn't just drop that, there's also this piece which is threaded into the block, and there is a mesh screen in here. You can see there's a little bit of debris. This essentially catches anything the filter doesn't catch. I'll clean out the screen as well. I guess it's not as dirty as I was hoping it would be, but I guess that also means my engine's running good and it's filtering oil, so I don't know if I'm happy or sad. It is a new day. We're back in the garage and we have some new Bel-Ray 10 weight 40 4-stroke engine oil. So originally I was going to pull the rest of the exhaust, I'll pull the turbo off, and I was gonna fight that battle and see if I shouldn't rebuild it. Before I go ahead and go through the effort of doing that, what I wanna do on the bike over here, I am going to drain the rest of the oil out. I'm gonna put a new filter in it. Now, it literally just got an oil change, like, in terms of running and ride time, it got an oil change with less than an hour ago. I'm wondering if it wasn't just because the thing was sitting. I am going to pull the filter off, put a new filter in, drain the oil, put new oil in, put it all back together and see what it does. I'm not sure if I'm expecting it to just work now. I would like it to. Oh, you hitting them with the fresh crush washer. Got the new K&N filter in here. All right, so with the manifold here, the gasket that was on it was no bueno, so I ran to the store, grabbed some Cometic gasket paper, and that's just gonna sit right here. I obviously cut this out, so used a hole punch and some scissors, and cut it out. Gonna throw some red RTV on this as well, and bolt this header up. All right, so the exhaust is fully bolted back on. I topped off the oil with some Bel-Ray 1040. I let it sit with the battery tender for the last like 2-3 hours, letting the RTV dry on the gasket as well. Only area that I'm not 100% confident is the, ironically, oil return line, the thing that I think may have been causing this the whole time, if there was even a problem. So the oil return line, it's kind of hard to tighten it because there's 3 moving pieces, and if any of them break, you're out either an engine or an irreplaceable line. So it may leak. If it does, I will tighten it a bit more. I may have to pop the exhaust back off. Let's kick the key and let's see what this thing does. Put some fresh speedy dry, so if it does decide to leak, I will know. All right, come on, baby. That thing starts good, eh? I don't know any bike that cold starts that fast. That is a flex. Oh my God. There's a few reasons I'm not like horrifically concerned with the smoking. Obviously, it's pretty smoky, but these bikes are known for a few things. And A, my exhaust was full of oil. Again, why? I'm not 100% sure. My guess is that check valve probably did get stuck a little bit from sitting, and me taking it apart and cleaning it up probably fixed it. But my guess is the exhaust is full of oil, so it's gonna burn that off. These bikes also, when they sit for a while, there will be some oil built up in the exhaust. So everyone always says, at least in the Seca Turbo forums, basically, if your bike's been sitting for more than a couple of weeks, really, most people say when you go to start it up at the beginning of every season, it's gonna do this, so start it up outside. And yeah, they're not wrong. So I honestly think we are in good order. I mean, I'll have to ride it, but of course I need tires before I ride this thing any more than I have. I've probably put 10 miles on the bike just going back and forth down the road, but these tires are dry rotted. They're flat, like super flat, super dry rotted, super hard. They're pure junk, and I spin at 50. So we need to get some tires, but otherwise, I mean, look at how fast this thing starts. Just so you guys can see, like, that's insane. That's literally mental. All right, so the bike starts up as fast as I remember it starting, which, to be honest, I am impressed with myself for being able to achieve a carbureted motorcycle from 1983 with a turbo that starts that fast. Now, it does still have like the slightest oil leak. Like, it was just a drop or two, so it very well could have just been some leftover. I just started it like 4 more times, let it run. Still smokes a lot. There's a lot of leftover oil in the exhaust, but it is slowly getting better. But otherwise, it runs really good. I threw the fairing back on it. Now I gotta get some hardware for it. That fairing is just loosely sitting there. Next up is tires, the fuel gauge, the battery light, which the rear wheel is loose, like the whole thing, so I gotta figure that out. I think from here on out, tires are gonna be one of the big things I have to do. I am gonna end the video here though. I really just wanted to introduce it to the channel and get it running again. I'm super happy with how it runs, and we need tires, so it's time to spend another $300. If you wanna see more turbo bike content, be sure to comment down below, let me know. Honestly, like, let me know, because the turbo bike's gonna be pretty cool. I wanna know if I should spend my time filming it or not, or if you guys don't care. And then the CBX, because I have gotten a few DMs about that and why I haven't been working on it, that's next. This bike had, admittedly, much more hope of running faster with less money than the CBX does. A carb rebuild professionally is $1,800 for the CBX, to put some pricing in perspective. So that bike is gonna take a lot more time and a lot more money. The turbo bike, I got it cheap, I got it running, and I'm pretty stoked. I think I'm like 2,500 bucks altogether, so I can't complain there. Again, my name is Nick. This is Olsen Auto. This is what I do. Thank you for watching and subscribing. Drop a like, and I'll see you in the next one.
Told my brothers one day we gon' make it. We just gotta grind for that paycheck. Mama told me one day I'll be famous. Remember when she used to say she hate this? Back then they would laugh when I say shit. Now I'm inside all them people's playlists. So one day I'll be stomping.